Closed, stereotypical, thinking, it can't be done because it can't be done. Closed box thinking is a state in which one operates within an environment created by other people, considering familiar and not necessarily accurate truths. Such models primarily function in authoritarian states, highly hierarchical societies, sects, blindly conforming and executive structures, i.e., in social structures with limited cognitive abilities, not necessarily due to their own fault. For example, in schools where there is no time for thoughts, reflection, or conversation, box thinking is taught, i.e., thinking that lacks creativity or critical analysis and is confined to strict rules and patterns, unlike schools that encourage creative thinking. Action, implementation, or criticism should stem from goals, values, and a manner of acting that does not disregard the rights of other people. It goes without saying that some organizational structure is necessary, especially in areas involving cooperation among many individuals. However, the exchange of information is essential. A prime example of closed-box thinking is the phrase, "it can't be done," as a default response. An example of well-managed organizations is where the boss has their own vision, but they also take into account the input and feedback from employees and clients. As a result, the company's behavior and decisions are adjusted to some extent based on collaboration and information exchange, depending on the managers, in contrast to systems that are practically dictatorial or despotic. In open organizations, there is also a more efficient transfer of information between different levels. Of course, there are also organizations without strictly defined vertical rules, but in those cases, the flow of information and openness serve as the foundation. Of course, more and more scientific achievements in the fields of psychology, management, ecology, and, fortunately, an increasingly holistic approach to the issues of work and the functioning of societies, health, and quality of life, should support meaningful changes, but unfortunately this knowledge is not always used in this direction. However, today, they are standard practices in civilized countries, proving that they were indeed possible and made beneficial changes. In the end, these changes took place because there were actually positive-minded people who desired to make a difference, and fortunately, there are still many such individuals. That's why I don't like the phrase, "it can't be done." I know that many things are possible, but first, you have to have the will and determination, and of course, you need to find decision-makers who have an open mind. The consequence of closed-box thinking is the propagation of stereotypes, shallow reasoning, and limited research into various issues, leading to results that are not entirely positive and, in particular, not objective. Even traditions are subject to modification to a greater or lesser extent.